overcoming poverty, burning off stress, paying attention with ADHD, building a career, beating a painful genetic disorder. After 13 years of helping others do the same, fitness became a foundation for my life's greatest gift and challenge, becoming a father. My name's Alex Van Houten, and I believe that what I eat, how I move, and what habits I live by are the rock upon which I build my physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being. And whatever I do will rub off on my kids and my community. Welcome to Defining Dad Bod, where we work to untangle the messy knots of the health and fitness industry as if your children's lives depended on it. Because they do. This is where we decide to make our bodies stand for something bigger than ourselves. This is where we find practical wisdom to live by, one powerful conversation at a time. May the words spoken here inspire you to keep moving forward no matter where you are. Who knows who you could be if you could become 1% better every single day.
We can do the show thanks to the support of listeners just like you. For more information how you can become part of the inner circle, go to findingdadbod.com/inner circle. That's findingdadbod.com/inner circle.
What's up, guys? This is Alex Van Houten with Defining Dad Bod. I hope you're doing super well. Happy Father's Day weekend. This is an amazing weekend where we get to honor the fathers in our lives, either our own fathers or maybe fathers in our community, grandfathers, uncles, or whoever it is that brought the awesome masculine essence to your world in a way that inspired you to be tougher, to be stronger, to better yourself every single day, to work hard, and all of the above things that you might attribute to a father worth honoring. And I know it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Some of us have had harder experiences with fathers than others, but those of us whose turn it is right now to redefine what it means to be a father for our generation and for generations to come, I hope that you're taking your mission very seriously, and I honor you in your own journey to do that well. High five. Keep up the good work, Dad. So today, in honor of Father's Day weekend, I am releasing a show called It's Time to Redefine What We Mean by Dad Bod. And actually, I started this work about 3 years ago. Shortly after becoming a father myself, I found myself doing weird things when I drove home from work, like stopping to grab a Pop-Tart and drinking a little too much bourbon when the kids went to bed. Well, kids. I have kids now. He was only one child at the time. But I found myself doing these strange things, and I was in the fitness industry at the time. I'm still in the fitness industry, and I've been there for over a decade, and I was like, what is going on? This isn't me. I don't understand what's happening to me. And so I did some research, and I found that there's a biological basis for Dad Bod, that there are some hormonal changes that dad goes through. And if you haven't checked those changes out or haven't looked at that research, I have several shows, and I've covered that topic quite a bit. You're welcome to reach out. I'll send you some links. And you can also find it on the podcast and on our website. But in finding that, I was faced with a crucial decision. The question for me in the fitness industry at the time was, well, do I just give into this whole thing? Like, biologically speaking, seems that my cortisol, my serotonin, and my testosterone are all against me being a healthy and fit father. And so maybe I'll just have the dad bod, and maybe I'll have to square that circle with the fitness industry and stuff. And so the question became, is that the way things have to be? And I said no. I submit that doesn't need to be the case. And I wrote an entire article on the topic of redefining dad bod, which you'll hear from in just a second. So I'm excited to share that with you. But in the journey of publishing a show called Defining Dad Bod and having conversations with dads and myself growing as a father over the past 3 years, it's interesting because you see things like what I'm about to share with you pop up in popular media, and you go, man, we're missing the boat. We're missing the boat, not just in the health and fitness industry, but as dads in terms of what our bodies can mean and perhaps what it is that we could be doing powerfully and positively with them, both in ourselves and for our kids and our community. And so I wanted to share with you guys an article that showed up in Fox just I think it was yesterday, a good friend of mine shared it with me. He's like, what the heck, man? So the article reads, more Americans are finding the dad bod attractive. And I'll just read you what it is that they did. They did a survey at Planet Fitness, because that's the institution of, higher fitness for sure. They have Tootsie Rolls at the counter and they serve pizza, I'm told, once a week. Anyway, so of 2,217 American adults who participated in the survey, 65% said that dad bod is attractive. Now, around here, defining dad bod is on a mission to redefine what we mean by dad bod. And if you don't know what that means, listen for the show, because I'm going to talk about exactly what it is that I think dad bod could mean or should mean to us dads, and the opportunity that we have to redefine this whole dad bod meme. But anyway, 65% say the dad bod is attractive. 61% say that men with dad bods are sexy. I'm just going to keep going there. And 51% think that the dad bod is the new six-pack. So I want to point something out to you guys here, because this is really important. You know that I've recently done the Beyond Calories series. We're in part 1 talking about how the food that we eat is more than calories in, and the exercise that we do is more than calories out. I'm going to make another assertion here. I'm going to assert that your body is more than your appearance. I'll say that again. Your body is more than your appearance. What did they survey? They surveyed, dad bod is attractive, yes or no? Is dad bod sexy, yes or no? Dad bods are the new six-pack. So all those things are like surface level appearances, right? Surface level things that you see in the mirror and whatnot. And don't get me wrong, your appearance is important. The way that you understand yourself and how that affects your confidence level and how that affects how you think about yourself, or perhaps how you present yourself to other people. I'm not bypassing the fact that it's important what we think about how we look. Okay, that's fair. But to boil down a dad's body to just the appearance of his body, I think is a mistake. I think that your body is more than your appearance. I think your body plays into how you feel from a pain perspective, or a happiness perspective, or a depression or anxiety perspective. And I also believe, and if you want to hear, I talk about my beliefs here as if, I have some ground to stand on. I have over 95 episodes, a lot of them heavily cited from a research perspective, to argue positively from an exercise, nutrition, and lifestyle standpoint that your body significantly affects the way you think, the way you feel, and then also from a health and fitness perspective, the way you move, what diseases you do or don't contract. It's a very powerful thing. So your body is more than your appearance. I think we all know that, but we see a title like this, or we see a survey like this, and we think, like, oh wow, dad bod's sexy, dad bod's attractive, or dad bod is the new six-pack. I really want you to read into that and say, like, look, my body is more than my appearance, okay? Like the way I feel, the way I'm able to keep up with my kids, whether or not I'm going to end up with cardiometabolic diseases in the next 10 years, like my body has a lot more to do with things outside of just what I see in the mirror. So my first assertion is your body is more than your appearance. And as I'm talking today about what dad bod could mean if we spent the time to redefine it, I hope you'll be thinking about that. I hope you'll be thinking about how your body is more than your appearance. But let's follow the appearance line just a little bit, okay? Because this is important to me. Let's say that your body isn't more than your appearance. Let's say that what you see is what you get. That's it. And how we conceptualize that is all that matters. Are you sexy? Are you attractive? Is this the new six-pack? Like, that's all that matters. Okay. So fine. There's a group of people, 2,217 of them to be exact, in Planet Fitness, and there's 67% and 61% and 51% who say certain things about your appearance. That's great. But what other questions could we possibly be asking about dad bod? Because if people are going to talk about my body, especially people who aren't dads. I love this. I love it when people who aren't dads have something to say about those of us who are dads and what our bodies are or aren't, right? That's fun. So the question I would have about dad bod, I have two actually. I have one, what does dad bod attract? What does dad bod attract? So there's a group of people who say, yeah, dad bod's sexy, dad bod's a new six-pack. And, that's cool, but I'm thinking about the people in my life who might say that. And I don't know, I like to hang with a crowd of people who aren't very complacent about their bodies and who aren't very complacent about their health and fitness, and who know clock's ticking, man. No matter what it is that you do, we're all not getting any younger. that's the thing. We're all not getting any younger. No matter what it is you do, whether you go to the gym regularly, whether you drink a beer regularly, whether you eat too much pizza, like, we're not getting any younger. And so when you ask yourself, who does a dad bod attract? And there's a group of people who are like, yeah, dad bods are great. Yeah, you should just embrace, what you are and stuff. Body shaming aside, I want to surround myself with people who, one, want the best for me, and who, two, are dedicated and devoted to betterment. Dedicated and devoted to betterment. That doesn't mean I want to surround myself with friends who look at me and go, hey man, getting kind of pudgy here. Are you slacking on your cardio? That's not it at all. It's when people look at me and they see me running on the street or lifting weights or playing hard with my kids. I want them to look at me and say, man, you're inspiring. Like, what you're doing and how active you are and how you're trying to do it for health and fitness and for leaving a good legacy, that's powerful. That's good. The people who say that dad bod, as it's currently defined, is sexy or attractive or whatever, are the same people who will look at me and go, hey man, slow down. Like, you're not getting any younger. Watch out. You're going to injure yourself. Or, are you crazy? Stop running on the road without a shoulder. Blah, blah, blah. And those are not the sort of people that I want to surround myself with. They're not going to help me become any better. And perhaps those are the voices that I'm going to begin hearing when I get up at 5 a.m. and I'm like, hey, I need to go work out. I need to make sure that I spend the time that I need to spend making myself better so that today I can show up best for my family. And those are not voices that I need in my head. It's the voices of people who think that the current definition of dad bod is attractive and sexy and the new six pack. So the other question that I have about your appearance when you're reading an article like this, and something that I wish was asked in the Planet Fitness realm, is really revolves around the idea, who's watching you? Look, dad, like, if you're watching this and you're a dad, you know that at any given time in the day, your kids are watching you, your wife is watching you, your family, like your extended family, is watching you, your coworkers are watching you. If you run a business, your employees are watching you, your community's watching you, everybody's watching you. And it's an overwhelming burden sometimes. Sometimes it's an overwhelming burden to lead by example and to constantly be under the judgment and scrutiny of the community. It's powerful in a way because it inspires you to be better. Like, it's an overwhelming burden, but if you'll take it on, man, it'll inspire you to be the best version of you that you can possibly be. And you can look at your life and go, if it wasn't for everybody counting on me, would I even be who I am today? I can raise my hand and say no. If my kids can wear me out sometimes, and sometimes I need a little more sleep, and sometimes I could use a break, and sometimes running a business is really hard. But if I look at my life and I look at myself 5 years ago and go, wow, like there's not even any comparing this guy, because I've grown so much taking on the responsibility in a powerful way. And the question is, when you look at yourself in the mirror, when people look at you, who's watching and what are they seeing? Because I think about my kids. Let me read you this article. This is the conclusion, okay? Because they're like, hey, dad bod's sexy. Everybody thinks so. Six pack or whatever. So, gentlemen, raise a glass, grab another slice of pizza, and toast to that relatively fit but neither lean nor muscular look. Like, is that? Like, all I hear is like, yeah, complacency. Woohoo! More beer and pizza. Like, is that really what we want to leave our kids with? Like, I'm sorry, it's kind of funny to me. Is that really what image we want to leave our kids with? Dad, going down at 56 from cardiometabolic disease with a beer in his hand. Like, man, he had that six-pack dad bod, the new six-pack that is. That's not what I want to leave my kids with. So it's Father's Day. I want you to be thinking about your body. I think your body's more than your appearance, but even if it isn't, even if what you see in the mirror is what you get, and that's how people judge you and think you're sexy or attractive or whatever, is that what you want to leave with your kids with? Not me. Not me. I'm excited for you to check out the show. I'm excited for you to listen to why I think it's time for us to redefine what we mean by dad bod. Because I think that as fathers, we are so much more than our appearance. And I think that we have an opportunity in our lives right now to use our bodies to teach our children something powerful about self-betterment, about discipline, about hard work, about self-sacrifice, and about fun, about a life that you don't have to live in pain and disease. And I think embracing the dad bod as it's currently defined is a big mistake. I think it's a big mistake. So this has been Alex Van Houten with Defining Dad Bod. I'm really excited for you to check out the show. I hope it's powerful to you. Happy Father's Day. Again, honoring you in your journey to define what fatherhood means in our day and age, because goodness knows our kids, our communities, our workplaces, our families need powerful fathers who take this role very seriously. And I'm excited for us to leave our mark. Today's show is a little bit different, and I think pretty special, given that we have our 100th episode coming up, and I hope you're as excited as I am about what's going on here at Defining Dad Bod. Today I want to share with you why I started Defining Dad Bod, what it's meant to me in my journey as a father, and how we've grown to this point where we have over 10,000 supporters worldwide and 1,000 regular listeners to our podcast here. Don't worry, I won't spend too much time on myself, but I will get to the foundational work of defining dad bod, the research of the biological predisposition for dad bod, and what I think we could make dad bod mean. So hang with me. First, in my own personal fitness journey, I became a personal trainer 13 years ago, after being heavily involved in athletics and loving running and weightlifting and jumping and hurdling, but constantly finding myself injured. And I would look around at my peers and think, why is nobody else injured? It turns out I have a genetic disorder called Ehlers-Danlos. And Ehlers-Danlos is a collagen deficiency in connective tissues. I didn't know it at the time, but the pain and the constant injuries, the regular dislocations, the sprains, all of those had a lot less to do with what I was doing wrong with my body and more about how my body responded to movement, namely the inability to stabilize my movements. So while some people might sprain their ankle playing basketball and landing wrong on their foot, I would sprain my ankle with silly everyday things, like stepping off the sidewalk wrong, or tripping over a toy in the floor. To date, I've actually sustained 18 injuries to my left ankle and 22 significant injuries to my right. And though dislocations have been a part of both of my ankle injuries, I haven't broken any bones, thankfully. The constant cycle of injury came to a head when I was 19 years old and I really hurt my back while playing ultimate frisbee. It was a brutal injury, but with young men and back injuries, much of the advice is take some ibuprofen and stay off of it for a while. It hurt to bend over to tie my shoes. I was the receptionist at the nursing school at Vanderbilt University where I was attending school at the time, and it even hurt to stock mail in the lower rungs of the mailroom. And after a visit to the student clinic and being very frustrated about the advice that I was given, I decided to take matters into my own hands, and I read everything I could about rehabilitating a lower back injury. This led me to pursue my personal training certification, and in the process of rehabbing myself over 3 months, I dove deeply into the study of exercise programming to help people achieve their goals. Becoming a personal trainer wasn't a revolutionary life change, mind you, but it was a significant career path change. I was studying to become a medical doctor at the time, with an eye on orthopedic surgery as a specialty. And what was interesting to me is while I worked in the hospital with patients who were there for a surgery, I found that the people that I was training in the gym in my after-hours job were actually more excited to be there and pursued their goals with a commitment that I didn't quite see from the patients who were there for surgery. And so the major change happened when I set aside my study for medical school in order to pursue supporting people before they needed medical intervention for their problem. And as a young trainer, I had the opportunity over several years to help hundreds of people get their metabolism working for them rather than against them, help them to lose fat and gain muscle, to rehabilitate injuries, to help them overcome and manage chronic symptoms from medical disease like diabetes, thyroid dysfunction, and arthritis. And, perhaps most importantly in the process, I met my wife, a registered dietitian passionate about helping other people get their lifestyle and nutrition to match what it is that they want for themselves and their body. It was around this time that two very important things in my life happened. One, I found out and understood more about my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a genetic disorder that, as I've found, runs through much of my family line and has affected several family members even though they didn't know what was happening to them and why their bodies were in such pain all the time. And the second thing was, we had our first child, Gabriel. Anybody listening who is a parent knows that becoming a parent is a crazy paradigm shift in life. Very few things in life are that earth-shattering, that powerful, and that meaningful to a person. And for me, understanding my genetic disorder and diving in headfirst to the freezing cold, frigid pool of parenting, where I found, by the way, that it's a little less sunshine and rainbows and a lot more poopy diapers, but nevertheless awesome. I had a bit of a crisis on my hands. I realized that for my entire life, my personal health and fitness journey, though it had positively impacted a lot of people along the way, was all about me. I was working hard to rehabilitate my injuries, to live without pain for myself, pursuing health and fitness goals that had to do with me, and even in that dedication, having a child threw all of those things for a loop. I was sleeping like garbage. I was working crazy hours to make all the ends meet. I was sacrificing my workouts because I felt guilty to take time for myself. And I had weird cravings, where I would stop at the gas station on my way home from work after training a client and eat a s'mores Pop-Tart, which, if you've read a nutrition label on a Pop-Tart lately, is not exactly a high-quality snack option. And it was in this murky water of transformation that I began to talk to other parents and to understand my health and fitness from a different point of view, to research the effects of having children on both mom and dad's body, and ultimately to decide that my health and fitness had to stand for something bigger than just me if I wanted to be the dad, the trainer, and the leader of my home that I felt I was called to be. And so I wrote what would become the springboarding platform, the foundational work for what is now defining Dad Bod. It came out of me in the form of a heavily cited article that I'll link you to below. And so now, without further ado, why it's time to redefine what we mean by Dad Bod. Alex, what's your fitness goal? You know, in the past, I might have told you that it was to grow muscle, run a faster mile, get better at parkour, increase my deadlift, jump higher, or even to compete on the American Ninja Warrior show. But all of that changed when my son was born. Don't get me wrong, I still train like the zombie apocalypse is going to begin tomorrow, and that only a samurai katana and my physical fitness stands between the hordes of undead and everything I hold dear. I'm not gonna lie, I dream that at least once a week. But my reason for training is now completely different. After my little man swooped in and changed everything about my sleep, food, finances, home, marriage, etc., my fitness goal took on a whole new look. For someone who thinks a bit too much about almost everything, becoming a father myself was an intensely motivating opportunity to evaluate everything in my life through the eyes of a small child. After a year of doing a decent job holding fast to the whys of pre-dad Alex's athleticism, even my fitness goals have fallen under the microscope of post-dad Alex's quest to be a good father. What, then, is my new fitness goal? What drives me to eat, sleep, breathe, and train as if a dragon were going to tear the roof off my house tomorrow morning before my coffee and challenge me to a fight to the death? Also, not out of the ordinary in my dreaming brain. My fitness goal is to overcome a phenomena that plagues nearly every American family man. That is, to stem the tide of an epidemic of complacency, neurobiology, and ignorance in the wake of the overwhelming possibility to change the fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to be a role model, a leader, a man in today's haplessly confused world. My fitness goal is to redefine Dad Bod. What is Dad Bod? Dad Bod, according to a sophomore at Clemson University, is a nice balance between a beer gut and working out. It says, I go to the gym occasionally, but I enjoy drinking excessively on the weekends and eat 8 slices of pizza at a time. Well, at least that's the way a young college woman describes young college men who haven't really earned the nickname Dad Bod the old-fashioned way. As an internet meme, Dad Bod exploded in March of 2015. But is it new? Or even more importantly, is it even real? Several surveys and studies have been done in the past 20 years to check into the reality of the growing waistlines and decreasing energy levels of dads nationwide. And a conclusive sample size was attained by the American Journal of Men's Health in a recently published study tracking 10,623 fathers' weights over a period of several years following the birth of their first children. The average father can expect to gain between 5 and 8 pounds, depending on his height, while the average single male can expect to lose about 2 pounds in the same time period of adulthood. The Dad Bod is not new, but it's definitely real. Thanks, Alex, I can hear your sarcasm say, for confirming things I could have Googled myself. If it's already a thing, why are you recording a podcast to draw attention to it? I'm so glad you asked. To understand, let's talk about why Dad Bod happens. Dads have kids. They get too busy to work out. They indulge in too much junk food, drink a beer more often than they should, and so they gain some weight. Big deal, right? That's called raising a family. At least, that's what the researchers said. Wrong. Very wrong. On every count. It turns out that Googling the meme won't land you with a non-speculative case for Dad Bod. First of all, let me say it's not really any dad's conscious choice to get the Dad Bod. According to a 5-year longitudinal study in 2011, Dad Bod is likely the result of decreasing testosterone and increasing prolactin found in men who, quote, mated successfully, you gotta love those biology majors, compared to males who remain single and thus unengaged in fatherhood. Let me say that again in a different way. Over a 5-year period, men who had children lowered testosterone and increased prolactin compared to their peers of the same age who didn't have children. As we all know, lowered testosterone fosters a host of changes in a man, and among those include less muscle and more fat accumulation. Additionally, prolactin has been named the caretaker hormone, and that can also create the physiological environment for more fat accumulation. Dang, man, it seems biology is against insanely fit, energetic, and powerful dads. Listen up, gentlemen. It's literally ingrained in your evolutionary biology to become less aggressive and more nurture-focused after your kids are born. As a brief side note, college males find a similar hormonal response and thus can get the Dad Bod too. Instead of it being baby-related, though, the testosterone drop and prolactin spike are likely due to alcohol consumption. But wait, man, it gets even worse. A study published in October 2015 in the Journal of Biological Psychiatry found evidence that testosterone and serotonin levels are directly correlated due to testosterone's tendency to increase serotonin reuptake transporters. I know that was a little complicated. That is to say, when you become a dad, your hormones naturally change in a way that lowers serotonin. So amidst the most stressful, sleep-deprived, world-changing time of your life, your hormones are against your healthy body composition, and your brain seems to be against your happiness. Awesome. As a result, many fathers turn to the easiest solution to feel good again. Since they're so used to the high levels of the neurotransmitter serotonin, they look for it in food. Enter junk food cravings. Ask any new father. One survey found that the presence of unhealthy snacks in the home and eating out increased more than 40% during and after their wife's pregnancy. Pizza, chocolate, cookies, candy, energy drinks, muffins, lattes, brownies, you get the picture. All of them boost serotonin temporarily, and all of them cover dad in fat for much longer. So dad makes baby. Quote, biological success makes dad's testosterone and serotonin go down in a time when he needs them most. And dad begins the potentially lifelong habit of drowning his sorrows the manly way, with a cold beer, pizza, and or a couple pints of ice cream. Boom, biology. Boom, Dad Bod. Well, hey, wait a minute. What's wrong with Dad Bod, Alex? Aside from the fact that visceral fat is literally killing us, male depression is on the rise, and relationship satisfaction declines sharply with symptoms of depression. Dad Bod keeps us from being the best men we can be in our house. Let me read you something that one dad confessed to me recently online. Alex, I have pictures in my head of doing the fun, active things I love with my son. But just a year after him being born, I look at the mirror and I don't recognize myself. I used to work out 6 days a week, and I was disciplined with my eating. But here I am, watching Netflix, drinking bourbon, and eating the third pizza of the week. This has become my new normal. I'm disgusted with myself. This isn't the example that I want to set. Something has to change. Gentlemen, in a world where so many forces threaten to cripple our morale and limit the potential for self-actualization, our children need us to model true masculine essence in both form and function. And frankly, our soft-bellied caricature is uninspiring. We are uniquely positioned in our communities and our children's lives to show them the way. Being dada can be so much more than the bulging, pudgy, middle-aged man who nurtures with the best of them. Here's the thing. Our industrialized world is filled with nurtured kids. Nurtured, passive, and complacent. Passive and complacent, just like Dad Bod. They might not face a dragon or a zombie apocalypse in real life, but they will face the reality of the growing obesity epidemic, heightened economic competition, an increasingly convoluted path toward well-being, and eventually the all-important questions about why we're here and how to make the best of it with more than 7 billion others to share the planet with. Our definition of Dad Bod needs to change. But wait, you just said biology and neuroscience are against us. Do we throw our hands up and submit ourselves to the softening muscle tone, decreased vitality, and poor habits we find ourselves in? Not if you're still breathing. The nice thing about being human is that we don't have to accept what we are. With enough information and motivation, we can orchestrate a change. All this information, the mechanism of Dad Bod, and the necessary nutrition and exercise science to combat it is new. So now you can train smarter with your weights and cardio, eat better and more purposefully, recover harder, overcome injuries and obstacles. We are the generation that understands Dad Bod and are free to choose otherwise. So let's do it. What words come to mind if I were to say to you, let's redefine Dad Bod? What do you think Dad Bod should mean? Well, I think a picture's worth 1,000 words, so I'm going to try to paint one for you. This is what I'm working toward personally. Here's what I think Dad Bod should mean. I think Dad Bod means strong arms and shoulders. Our shoulders are what others may need to cry on, and at times the weight of the world bears down on each of us as it did upon Atlas. We need to hold on when others would let go. A meaningful Dad Bod builds strong arms and shoulders. I think Dad Bod means a sturdy, powerful core. Our core is the center of our movement, just like we are the center for our homes. Everything we do begins and ends with what's inside of your center. Dad Bod is building a strong, powerful core. I think Dad Bod means an agile body. Our agility allows us to overcome the obstacles that our life puts in our path quickly and decisively. And the unexpected pitfalls that come our way every single day, we should bend like willows and survive. Dad Bod means an agile body? I think Dad Bod means consistent energy. Our energy lets us work tirelessly to leave a positive mark on the world. And afterward, we still have energy to spare for our kids and give them a run for their money, while devoting the same purposeful attention to the relationships that are important to us. Dad Bod means building consistent energy. I think Dad Bod means endurance. Our endurance lets us keep moving forward, even when we feel like giving up. The stubborn grit and focus makes us indomitable, and we won't be conquered. Dad Bods build endurance. And finally, Dad Bod is disciplined. Our minds are set. We mean what we say, and we do what we intend. We are dependable because we are agents and not a slave to forces outside of our control. Dad Bod builds discipline. If we could redefine the word Dad Bod, that's what I think it should mean. But it doesn't really matter what I think. What do you think? Knowing the role that a man needs to play in the world around you right now, and also knowing what biology says about what your body will become if you don't do anything about it. How would you redefine Dad Bod? You may be listening to the sound of my voice, and you've been working really hard on your own health and fitness. You've seen the value of taking time for yourself, eating well, sleeping appropriately, and you're working hard to pass on those habits to your kids. In which case, awesome, high five, great job, keep up the awesome work. It's amazing to be fighting side by side with somebody just like you in the world. But you may be listening to this and be just like my friend, who looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize the guy he sees there. And you wake up in the morning and you look at your life and you're more depressed than you know you should be. You have less energy than you need to get everything done. You're burning the candle at both ends and you feel like you're doing a crummy job by everybody, including yourself. If that's you, I want to connect with you. I want to encourage you. And I want to get you moving in a better direction. Fill out my form at definingdadbod.com/trial and we'll get started. And if you're listening to this and you're not a dad, maybe you're a mom or a grandma or an aunt, and you see that you're also in a position to lead by example at home, in your workplace, in your church, even in your gym, through your exercise, your nutrition, and your lifestyle, then I want to say I recognize your challenges too. That you matter, you're doing a great job, and I appreciate you being here and finding value in the content of Defining Dad Bod. This isn't going to be easy, but on the bright side, having kiddos actually seems to boost our household incomes, job satisfaction, decrease the risk of premature death, and fosters environments where positive lifestyle choices stick. There truly has never been a more important or better time in our lives to start redefining Dad Bod. What do you say? Are you in? This has been Alex Van Houten with Defining Dad Bod. Happy Father's Day. Until next time, kick butt, take names. The free practical advice and conversations here remain unbought and unbiased thanks to the support of listeners just like you. For more information on how you can become a part of the inner circle of Defining Dad Bod, go to definingdadbod.com/inner circle.